Gabba!
Hey, William!
It's become an annual tradition for us to start this video by singing, "If love was a crime,
then we would be criminals,
locked up alive, but all through the time."
They will never break us down.
Listen, this year at Eurovision 2019, Teen,
roll with it.
there were a lot of crimes committed by the jury, by televoters, by producers, and by others. Should we talk about the top crimes of Eurovision 2019? Let's do this!
Now, this was actually hard narrowing it down to 10, wasn't it?
It was amazing. There were something like 390 comments on the wiwibloggs website when we asked our readers to name their top crimes. There were, several on Twitter. We even got some on YouTube and on the gram, Insta. But we have narrowed it down based on which things came up the most.
The reoccurring theme.
And we kick it off with number 10.
Oh, we kick it off with an honourable mention, William Lee Adams.
Right. This is actually from Liam Lindsay on the wiwibloggs website. He said the top crime is the United Kingdom, or rather people connected to the United Kingdom, suggesting that the UK came last because of Brexit.
It's funny, actually, and there have been a few public figures who have spoken out in favour of that theory.
Lorraine.
Kelly, honey! Lorraine Kelly!
Or rather, a woman playing Lorraine Kelly.
She was vocal.
Yeah, I just think this was for headlines. I can't... Look.
But Michael Rice also believes that.
So I haven't actually delved into what he thinks. All I'll say is this, he's a great performer. No one doubts that he's a great performer. The issue was kind of the staging and things around it. It just didn't measure up to the other acts on show. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't as good as the other 26 acts.
No, but when you think that...
25 acts, sorry.
When you think that the songwriter responsible for that song still managed to kind of come sixth.
Yeah, because it's not about the song necessarily, it's about everything around the song. And Lorraine Kelly kept going on about the song, but this is more than a song contest. This is a televised TV show. So it's about the production, the scenography, the staging. There's so much more. It's bigger
than us!
Than the song. And that's what Lorraine Kelly... I'm sorry, when people sit down wherever they are, Italy, Romania, France, Russia, they're not thinking about Brexit. They're watching a TV show, and the 3-minute song that moves them, touches them, surprises them. And in this instance, this performance didn't.
It's difficult to ignore, though, because Lorraine Kelly is considered a Eurovision expert.
Is she?
We move on to number 10.
Is she?
We move.
And by the way, she also kind of said really negative things about a lot of the other acts.
The other acts.
Like, yeah, what did she call Hatari? A bunch of guys in PVC? I can't remember. She compared Kate Miller-Heidke to a circus act. I mean, the whole thing, it was something like that. It just wasn't very positive. It wasn't delivered in the spirit of love and kind of, it can be one thing to say, oh yeah, the UK did a good job, it's unfortunate he came last. This is like blaming others for what's an internal problem. Like...
And questioning those who've done well.
Yeah.
So...
Alright, so on to our actual list. Number 10, Victor Krone's camera issues.
Now they were bad, William.
Yeah, the issue for me is, I get that it's a very technologically difficult thing to nail down, but they had months to figure it out. Because what, you submit your staging plans, head of delegations meeting mid-March.
It's funny you say that they're very difficult things to technically nail out, because according to Victor Krone, I mean, he's quite close to us, Estilau managed to do it without any real difficulty.
The issue was, I think something about pre-recorded versus live. And so you had to sync up Victor singing live on the Eurovision stage with the video image. Apparently this is very, very difficult. What they did in Estilau was slightly different, I've been told by people related to the show. So I understand it's difficult. My issue is this, if it's gonna be super difficult, then don't say you can do it. So that he doesn't arrive in, where did we go? Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv.
Having to deal with these mishaps during the show. He handled it brilliantly, by the way.
Yeah.
He was very positive, he was never nasty, he was always kind of hopeful and optimistic.
But it was tough, you know, it wears on you. There's a lot of pressure. And actually, when you look at his footage, there were just a number of really bad shots. There were shots where he's down, you know, crouched down, and all people are just blocking him completely out of view. There are shots where you can actually see the cameraman panning round.
Yeah, I guess this goes to a broader point, which a lot of you have commented on Instagram, on Twitter, and on our website, which is just general production issues, some acts being too dark. Certainly a lot of delegations, I'd say more so than the past, a lot of delegations were whispering in the press room saying they weren't happy about what was being done on stage. A lot of delegations, repeatedly. Yeah. And it's not important to call them out, but it's just, if it were one or two people, you'd be like, okay, that's unfortunate. But when it's so many different delegations, you start to scratch your head.
Yeah, but I also think that over time, people have more complicated ambitions as well.
True.
So, you know, so what was done 2 years ago, I mean, what was it, Lisbon, that was like no LED?
And it looked great.
Yeah.
And it looked great.
Literally, because LED is really quite complicated, actually.
All right, we move on to number 9. Oh, and this is actually relevant. Essentially, Norway's jury score. They win the televote, but I believe the juries put them 18th. Is that correct?
Oh, God. But even in their semi-final, the jurors wouldn't have qualified if it had been a jury-only vote. Meanwhile, they won the televote.
Yeah, that discrepancy is so
massive,
big. And curiously, if we look to the grand final, the jury rates the jury show, which takes place on Friday. On Friday, during the jury show, there was a technical mishap.
You tweeted about
this. I tweeted about this, actually. You saw the camera spinning around, I believe it was Alexandra. So there was a camera filming Alexandra. That's not supposed to happen. The whole point of Eurovision and these camera cuts is you take people to a different world, whether it's a stage, whether it's this outer universe, this kino space, and you kill the illusion, you kill the effect for viewers when you then show the person filming the singer.
And whilst you can put an argument and say that, well, that was not televised, the reality is that it does account for 50% of your overall score. So it's massive. You know, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, it takes a juror out of the moment. The juror is obviously supposed to stay in the moment, but they can't, they're human. And like, they've seen the camera. And also, I just want to point out, and actually someone from one of the head of delegations, not from Norway, but elsewhere, speaking generally, told me, this stuff is pre-programmed, right? Like, they're up there programming stuff. So really, in the rehearsals, you should sort this out. There's no excuse for the camera suddenly appearing in the shot. I'm assuming the cameraman was running in the same position he always runs in. So it's just unfortunate. And thank God it didn't happen during the live final, so Kano still have that beautiful performance to watch, but you don't want a performance to be marred when an artist has been working on it for months, and not just the artist, but their technical team, their production team, their producers, their stylists, their costume designers. It's a huge chain of dozens of people.
And also when you compare what was viewed by those judging the jury shows, who are these music experts, how they've ranked the songs, assuming they've played fair, the reality is they've marked it according to how they've seen it. And what they saw that day is different from what the televoters saw, putting them first and then ranking them down.
And that creates a whole nother level of drama because people think they're judging the same thing when in fact they're not judging.
They're not judging.
It's a totally different. I mean, look at Victoria and Melody Festival. You know, remember a few years ago she had issues during the jury final and people couldn't understand what went wrong. That's because you didn't see it. Because the jury show's a different night. In any case, number 8. Devin,
I think we're still sticking with the jury on this.
Take it away. Take it away.
Well, basically, the idea of music experts judging songs is that they should save songs which have artistic merit or have meaning to those in the region.
Quality.
And quality songs, you know, and quality songs aren't always in English. In fact, quite the reverse. But this year, it emerges that a lot of the songs which were performed in other languages were heavily marked down. Take Poland, for instance, didn't qualify. Take Georgia, didn't qualify. They're not necessarily my personal preferences, but it would seem that all these music experts have consistently marked down Albania, Poland, Spain, Iceland.
I just want to read, this is the top voted comment on the wiwibloggs website. We asked you what are the top crimes of the year, and Dan said, juries killing songs in native languages, i.e. Poland, Georgia, Portugal, Iceland, they put them low, Albania, Spain, etc. I think as a juror, you need to be able to look past your domestic radio station. So here in the UK, for instance, they're not going to play a song in the Polish language. They're not. Not on BBC Radio 1 anyway.
Exactly.
So you have to think, okay, is this a good song? Does it touch me? Does it move me? And if it does, you should give it some love.
And it's even more complicated at Eurovision because you cannot vote for your own country's entries, meaning that the language that you're more likely to hear and understand will be yours, which you cannot vote for. So you then have to think differently and just mark yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it?
It's tough because also one of the things that we love about Eurovision is that you hear songs you wouldn't hear on your local radio station, but we discourage countries from sending songs in their native language when we penalize them.
Yeah.
Or not we, but the jury. So it's unfortunate. All right, well, this is number 7.
Sticking with the jury.
But it's very relevant. Spain coming last with the jury.
Blows my mind.
Last? Look, I love this song, I love this performance. I can understand maybe if it's not your cup of tea, but last?
It's hard to articulate, especially as the running order was in its favour. I mean, like, really, it was the last thing you heard. It was the closeout of the show, and you put it last. I honestly thought this would finish top 10.
We should point out that coming last does not mean he didn't get any jury votes. It's just that in countries, you only get jury points if the jury there ranks you in the top 10. So he could have been 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th in some places. It's not like everyone was rating him 25, 25, 25, 25.
But collectively, last finish.
And I'm saying 25 because you can't rank your own country, so it's not 26, it's out of 25. It's just unfortunate, and I hope that Mickey realizes that he's amazing, that this result does not mean anything. He is loved by so many, he's a superstar in Spain, superstar, and now, on top of his superstar status in Spain, he's got all these international fans, so this is still a win. This is a huge win.
Mickey's talent goes beyond borders. I think he's great. I must admit, his stage performance did dip for me because I didn't get the whole Paco thing.
Yeah, I don't think people got that.
But still, there's no way that I would put that outside of the top 10 still. Yeah. I mean, like, it was really good.
And listen, people do Eurovision for different reasons, and I'm not saying he didn't want to win, but people need to realize success at Eurovision is not just winning, okay? Success is consolidating your fan base at home. Success is winning new fans. Success is boosting your social media following. Success is the experience of being on this massive stage.
You know one of my favorite examples, and I'm glad you talked about that. 2012 France. She is even way bigger now than you could ever imagine.
And Goon.
Yeah.
And also, that's just a beautiful narrative. Indonesian immigrant representing her adopted country. You know, there is emotional significance and there's a powerful message there. There is a victory in its own way.
But she blew up massively post-Eurovision.
Still amused for Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Yeah.
You know, Asia's Got Talent. It gave her credibility.
Madame Tussauds waxwork.
In Thailand. It gave her extra credibility in Indonesia because people saw her being honored by, you know, France. It's just a win-win-win-win-win-win. In any case, we move on, we say
oh, this is
adios.
my favourite point, William. I can't even talk about it.
You announce it, Deppin.
Oh, I can't.
Wait,
it's painful.
Let me grab this.
Oh, God!
Telemoves.
Portugal's Conan Osiris not qualified.
Blows my mind.
It's interesting, actually. Before shooting this video, we all had different lists and we had to narrow them down. This was one that we just agreed on, didn't we? We just said, definitely, this needs to be on the list.
Yeah, I thought juries would respect the artistry.
Absolutely.
The kind of... There is a zaniness. It's tasteful, though. I miss the days when acts like Verka Serdichka did well at Eurovision, because there's a zaniness that people seem to respect more in the past. I don't know.
Nobody saw this coming. I'm sorry.
I think many people did see this coming, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because this is divisive. We love it, but it is divisive, so I do understand. I don't agree, but I understand why this is not everyone's cup of tea.
I get that, but to the point of non-qualification?
What shocked me was how low it came. Didn't the jury put it last? So that was below, this was first semifinal, so that's like below Montenegro. It wasn't last.
My mind.
I mean, it's just like shocking. It's just shocking to me.
So wait, I know you don't agree, but did you actually see non-qualification coming for Portugal?
I thought if this didn't qualify, it would be 11th or 12th. I thought it'd be close if it didn't qualify.
Oh my god.
But the fact is, it didn't qualify like by a significant margin.
I gave this 10 out of 10 in my wee jury.
No, I know you love it. I love it too. I absolutely love it, but that's not the point here. The point here, it's upsetting. It is upsetting. And again, I just hope this doesn't discourage Portugal from doing things its own way. What I love about Portugal is that in recent years, they've gone all in. They're gonna do what they wanna do. Salvador Sobral, that was out of left field, okay? Isora, Ojardin, very atmospheric, again, out of left field. This, beyond left field.
Box.
This was an exoplanet. This wasn't in our solar system, okay? This is up there burning bright, millennia light years away. Just bananas. And I hope they keep bringing original songs with Portuguese flair, because that's why we love them.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, this isn't on our list, but we have to mention it. So consider this 5.5, 0.5. In the first semifinals, Serbia's jury, every single juror ranked Montenegro first.
Oh.
On no planet, this solar system or beyond, was Montenegro the best overall package in semifinal one. It's just not.
Are you sure they didn't get it in reverse order?
You know what? That's a better explanation. Honestly, to the point, it blows.
That can't be right.
That's what's listed on the EBU website.
Somebody needs to question these results, honestly.
It implies collusion. It implies a lot of things. Like 5 allegedly independent jurors all rank. It's just weird.
They
had some of the best vocals. I agree with that. They can sing.
Oh, but
Montenegro
really?
can sing, but it was not the overall best package, and that's
and certainly not consistently for 5 jurors.
It's an insult to the rest of the competition.
It is in a way, and it's funny, you know. I mean, like, you know, I've been, a juror on a show, and
how could we forget? How could we forget?
and I know that not everybody will accept your results, but you know what? I draw satisfaction from the fact that I know that it was due process. But
also, the results weren't, like, people voted all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But it's this Serbia-Montenegro situation, everyone
linear.
It doesn't make sense. All right, we move on
to point number 5.
Yes. Oh, and this... Okay, this is about the televote winner of the grand final, Norway, that's Kano, not getting to celebrate coming first in the televote.
Yeah.
Now, I did think the new result system was super exciting, it was drama, it was great television, but you almost want them to say, when the televote winner is announced, congratulations, you've got the highest votes.
Yeah.
However, they can't do that. You know why?
Because then you will know that whoever they're pitching next, so like with John Lundvik from Sweden, you would know that, well, he's not going to win anyway. So that suspense would be absent.
Exactly. So there are trade-offs here. But maybe...
But what they could do is, after announcing Duncan Lawrence, is then say, and congratulations to our televote winner, and then put the scores, the table, put a table of scores.
Yeah, well, you don't want to kill the excitement of Duncan Lawrence getting his trophy, but you could flash on the screen quickly and while they're like putting in his earpiece.
Yeah.
And congratulations to, our jury winner, our televote winner, and our overall winner. Just something to nod to Norway's achievement.
It's not easy.
It's not easy to come first.
It's not easy to please that many number of people, and actually in a different Eurovision ranking system, they would have taken the trophy.
Oh yeah, they would have won. They would have won.
But what's also interesting, I think we talked about it earlier, is the discrepancy. So they dropped down to what, 5th position?
Well, 6th, because they were announced 5th. They ended up 6th, but we'll come to that point later. In any case, we move on to point number 4. Okay, this is a headache. Point number 4 is the speculation, we have to emphasize speculation, that jurors in certain countries reverse voted. The reason I'm harping on speculation is the EBU has not confirmed that these are actual errors. The jurors themselves have not publicly spoken that these are actual errors. So this is conjecture among the fandom, among fan media, but with a lot of evidence supporting it. So I just want to put that out there. This is speculation. This is not confirmed. Three big examples.
It's basically Hilda Heck rearing its ugly head in multiple score sheets.
She, of course, was the Danish juror who a few years ago voted in reverse. Jurors are given a sheet. They're meant to rank the songs 1 to 17 or 18 in the semifinals, and then 1 to 25 in the grand final, 1 being your favorite, 25 being your least favorite. The example of the Russian juror. In the semifinal, he put Azerbaijan last and Denmark first, but then 2 nights later, in the grand final, he put Denmark last and Azerbaijan first. Clearly, you're not going to flip your order, and we should say in between, the rank ordinals also reversed.
Yeah.
So you're not having a total reversal of heart, right?
It's clearly an error.
It's an error. And yeah, and then you saw this with Lena Hedlund in the same semifinal. And then in the first semifinal, people think the Czech juror also reversed voting. Because if you look at the song that she put first, all the other jurors put last, and vice versa. And not that all jurors vote the same, but regionally, if you believe that in your region you have similar musical traditions and you vote in some, you know what I'm saying? It's just all very
Well, clearly
strange.
the comms were not there this year.
The what?
The comms.
Communications.
The communications.
Ah.
It was just a bit lacking. Having said that, though, the 2 most affected countries would have been Lithuania taking the place of Denmark. You know, for me, it's either here nor there. You know, like, yeah.
And the other semifinal, Poland, would have been affected by the Czech juror debacle. And that may be one, the EBU has not...
So what, Poland taking the place of Denmark?
No, in semifinal 1,
okay, so
Poland would have taken the place of the 10th place finisher. Who I don't remember.
What, again, goes to show.
Well, no, that's because we haven't slept in 3.5 weeks, is what it goes to show.
Let's talk about Madonna. Point number 3.
This is just... Okay. So in the run-up to Madonna actually performing, people said, oh, she's gonna take the spotlight away from the artist. And the artists themselves, many of them, and myself, we were all like, no, this is gonna build hype for the show, more people are gonna watch, it's gonna give more attention to the artist. What ultimately happened, because of a series of dramas, her being out of tune,
Oh,
the
but
flag
even prior
incident,
to that, oh, will she sign the contract? When is she arriving? Oh,
yeah.
You know, like, there was just, everything was Madonna.
Everything was over-the-top drama. If this had been a straightforward process where a singer signs contract, shows up, performs well, it wouldn't have been an issue. But what actually happened was drama at every turn, which ultimately did distract, actually. Here in the UK, I was horrified to come back that Sunday. All the headlines were about Madonna. All of the headlines, they weren't about the artist. And it actually, that didn't happen with Justin Timberlake. Because Justin Timberlake came, rehearsed, contract was signed, there was no controversy in the live show.
Oh, there was no all this like rehearsing in a dark space at 3 a.m. and, you know, having like a 200-man bodyguard team, and oh, it was just too much. I mean, whilst I love Madonna...
Love, icon.
Yeah, undisputedly. And, you know, I celebrate her at every turn.
And everything she's done.
I wasn't expecting a takeover. I was expecting a merger.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just so much controversy, and you know, a lot of people have asked maybe that money, the $1 million to $1.5 million.
1.7 million euros.
I keep hearing different figures, so we've heard a low of $1 million, a high of 1.7 million. You know, was it worth it? People are asking.
Well, you know what? It's a really good income for just 2 songs. Wouldn't you love to be paid 1.7 million euros?
For anything. For anything. We move on. We move on to point number 2. And this was in the running for number 1.
Yeah.
But in the end, our point number 2 is something that happened before the song contest even started.
Guess it. Guess what it is.
Let's give them a moment. Shout it out, y'all. 3, 2, 1.
MARUV!
Wanna know my secret, babe.
Now that Eurovision 2019 is complete, it's pretty clear to almost everyone this would have challenged.
Oh.
This would have challenged for the win. This is an example of a zany song that could have still done well. I could have seen this being a massive televote winner.
Yes.
Massive.
Massive. It would have killed the televote.
And just to rewind, in case you're joining the party a little bit late, MARUV was selected by the Ukrainian people to sing at Eurovision, but then the broadcaster, in MARUV's words, wanted to use her as a tool of propaganda. They wanted her to sign a contract saying she would not tour in Russia. They were trying to politicize her as an artist. She refused.
Oh, it was beyond that. It was the most horrific terms and conditions, kind of binding her. Like, even if she had to breathe, she would have needed clearance for it.
Basically.
So it was just really, really bad. I just want to ask you, William Lee Adams, very quickly. Do you think that MARUV would have won over the music experts at Eurovision?
I think this would have done better than people think. I don't think it would have won the jury vote, but I do think it would have come potentially top 10, putting it in striking distance. I think the televote victory would have been so large.
Oh, I see.
That it could make up for any difference lag with the jury. Because
Right.
it's a standout act. And actually, it is quite musical in its own way. It's very out there. Bang.
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. And it would have translated easily to the stage because she didn't even need fancy LEDs, fancy graphics.
Because even at Vidbeer, she was killing it.
It was actually quite simple, but it was so... Ukrainians are very good at doing over-the-top and eccentric.
And also,
Masters.
they're consistently good at staging.
Yeah.
At Eurovision.
And they consistently have strong support when they sing good songs.
Yes.
So it's just, it's a tragedy.
Oh, and she would have killed all that Eastern vote. She would have just...
She would have killed it. She would have gotten, the UK would have voted for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think juries would have marked it down, though. Jurors would have really marked it down.
You know, I'm not sure they would have.
Really?
I don't think they would have put it in the top, 2, but I think a lot of jurors
It wouldn't be in the top 7, I don't think. Do you think?
Yeah.
Judging by what, I mean...
I'm actually so crestfallen even talking about it. I find it really upsetting. Alright, we need to move on, otherwise we'll talk about MARUV all day. The #1 crime, mess up, event, incident, disaster is the Belarusian jury aggregate vote and what followed. Quick summation. Essentially, the Belarusian jurors in the semifinals, after they voted, they discussed their results, which is against the rules. They gave an interview, and while they didn't reveal the specific results, they gave enough away to make it clear how they voted. There were suggestions they were then not impartial, they were influencing each other. I get it. You have to discount that result. Fair enough. But then in the grand final, the EBU has this rule, they still have to give a jury vote from Belarus, so they take what's called an aggregate jury result, using the results of neighboring countries with historical voting patterns that mirror Belarus's, so Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, and Russia, I believe. And they say, based on how those countries vote, we're gonna give a vote for Belarus based on that. So you're creating this fake vote for Belarus. You're essentially saying, those 4 countries, because they vote that way, that's how you would vote. Which kind of blows my mind. Why even have a vote then? I personally think if a jury is in some way corrupt or messes up,
remove the vote.
remove the vote. That's the penalty for not following the rules. So instead, they do this aggregate result. But then, rather than awarding the points based on the top 10 countries from the aggregate, they awarded the points based on the countries in the bottom 10. So that means Tamara Tadeska, who should have gotten 10 points, she got no points. Michaela, who should have gotten 12 points, got 0 points. Okay, thankfully, a Eurovision fan, Euro_Bruno on Twitter, was like, this isn't right, because if you're doing this based on cultural voting, etc., why are there no points to Russia? Because it was just, why did Israel get 12 points? So thank God an observant fan, well many fans noticed, but Bruno took the time to actually calculate and put it on Twitter. The EBU eventually, to their credit, revealed the error rather than skirting it under the rug. New points were assigned, but that impacted many things. One thing it impacted...
Well, Kobe Marini wouldn't have picked up those 12 points for a start.
So he had a false victory. He celebrates, getting 12 points, and then it's taken away from him. To me, the biggest disaster of all of this is North Macedonia. Please explain.
She was not allowed to shine, because clearly now, she won the jury vote, right?
Yeah, she won the jury vote. North Macedonia won the jury vote after years in the wilderness, and they don't get to celebrate it on international television.
No. It's just really, really bad. And we're not talking about years in the wilderness of not winning. We're talking like not even coming close to qualification. So to have that in the bag, that should have been something that should have been fireworks.
Something huge. And instead that means the final two, it's just, you watch the broadcast and review and it's false. Like they show the top two of the jury and it's Sweden versus Netherlands, but it's not actually. It should be Tamara.
Yeah.
And even if she didn't win ultimately, that special moment, seeing herself in that position would have been a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's just really unfortunate.
But this year, actually, I mean, in my history of being with wiwibloggs, it's been the most crimes. Like, there's just been a lot of crimes to choose from.
You know, this was a tense year for a number of reasons, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know what? This is one of the reasons people love Eurovision, is that it's not straightforward. Putting on the world's biggest entertainment event, the world's largest
live as well.
Event, this is a huge operation, a massive undertaking, and things will always go wrong. It's just inevitable, but it's also something that fans secretly, you know, celebrate. Because there are a lot of people who kind of live for, not the drama. You know, it's more to talk about, more to unpack.
And now that you've got social media driving all of this, we could literally be talking about this until we get to Amsterdam.
Do you watch Question Time on the BBC?
Yes, I do.
So last night I was watching Question Time, and this is like a politics show where people in the audience ask questions to a panel, usually of politicians and then business leaders. And someone in the audience, the final question was, why is everyone always so angry about everything these days? And it was a really good point. They were talking about Brexit, they were talking about tuition fees, they were talking about people, and then Dr. Steven Pinker from Harvard, a psychologist there, he made the good point. You can look at things and issues like, you know, let's diagnose the problem and let's all give our opinion and, you know, try to have a solution. But instead, people do this thing of let's find who's wrong and let's kill them and let's kill the people who are causing this evil. And I just hope for all of our sakes we can move to the former, which is more the diagnosis technique of, okay, what's gone wrong? Let's look at this, as opposed to this constant yelling and conflict. And you know, what's interesting is the people who yell the loudest tend to be the meekest when you meet them in person. And it's just, you see, you know, call them trolls, call them haters, call them whatever you want. People have internal issues, and because of the anonymity of the internet, the safety they feel, they lash out. And it does create a toxic culture. That's not limited to Eurovision, that's not limited to the UK, that's a global thing. Steven Pinker made a very good point.
Surprisingly though, in the Eurovision sphere, it is quite prominent, which, again, you wouldn't expect it.
Any fandom, beauty pageants. Do you go in these forums?
Oh, they cut their bikinis up with.
It's any fandom. It's not specific to Eurovision. But anyways, it's good that there's a community to celebrate with. I just hope people can hold hands as opposed to, you know, holding daggers. In any case, those are some of the crimes that we noticed this year in the Eurovision 2019 Grand Final and Semi-Finals. And actually, not just us, you noticed, because these come from the comments section. These are user-generated comments and concerns, which we happen to agree with. Let us know what you think are the biggest crimes, what was left out, because a lot was left out. I'm mad about Bilal's placement. I'm mad about Czech Republic getting 7 points in the televote.
You were mad about Germany getting 0.
I was mad about Germany getting 0. You know. Oh, also on that Belarusian aggregate jury, it makes me sad for countries like the UK. Obviously, they still came last, but a third of their televote score or jury score was then wiped out after the new results. A third, which then creates a whole new media mess. Because then Lorraine Kelly's like, oh, and we lost even more points. You know, it just creates a bad impression.
I love Lorraine Kelly.
She's funny. I respect her for speaking her opinion. I just think her opinion's slightly misinformed. I don't think that she's necessarily like a Eurovision expert. I think, you know, it's a bit... Yeah, she made some provocative comments, which if you dig deeper, don't necessarily hold up. But I do think it's unfortunate that a country like the UK, a country like Israel, they end up losing so much of their jury vote. They just shouldn't have been awarded it in the first place.
Yeah.
That is, you know? Oh, it blows my
but then
mind.
it creates another massive media pool. Why aren't they accepting the results from Belarus? You know, couldn't they drum up another set of jurors? After all, it's only 5 people. It's not difficult to
That's
do.
true.
To
Just
find 5 fresh people.
5 recent Eurovision singers done. In any case,
that's what we think.
What do you think? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
And yes, follow our our reviews and more videos. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, there's a notification bell, and multiple social media platforms too.
Yeah, let us know what videos you want to see us film during this long summer. The sun's out, the camera's out.
I certainly want misheard lyrics.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. We'll see you later.
Bye!